What's in a name? Everything. The power of a name has long been immortalized in prose, poetry, and history. It is your face to the world, your ambassador of quality that reflects your ideals and aspirations. Thompson's, a name, a family, a tradition of excellence. So it is with Thompson's Toyota, where our professional and courteous staff are eager to help you drive home your dream vehicle from the largest selection of new and used Toyota cars and trucks at the best prices. And if your vehicle needs service, our Toyota factory-trained and certified service technicians have the skill and expertise to do the job right and do it right the first time. Thompson's Toyota, where you'll always be treated like family.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. Today we're on Flaming Gorge Reservoir with local expert Mike Hall, who's fishing with his friend Luke Ellifritz for the famous Flaming Gorge kokanee. This is a highly instructional episode, so if you want to learn how to catch more fish, stay tuned. I'm Justin Wolff, and this is Angler West Television. Flaming Gorge Reservoir on the Utah-Wyoming border is a classic high desert lake sitting at over 6,000 feet elevation and is well known as one of the best kokanee fisheries in the world. Today, a morning rainstorm has kept us off the water until after lunch, but now we have a break in the weather and it's time to get busy.
It's early in the season, these high altitude lakes. We're going to use a shallow presentation today on kokanee. The big trick here is that kokanee not only move on a vertical plane, but they move on a horizontal plane as well. And they'll try and get out from underneath your boat. Salmon are salmon no matter where you go, what elevation. If you've got boat pressure on all your lakes, those fish are going to move. They're up shallow this time of year. They're going to move out from underneath the boat. So primarily today we're going to troll at 20 to 25 feet. I'm going to troll at least 60 foot behind the boat. That'll allow the fish to settle back down. They'll move aside of the boat or move back in as you go past. It'll allow us to catch a lot more fish than if we went deep where there's no fish, and you probably won't see as many on the graft under this type of presentation. It doesn't mean that the fish aren't there, it just means that you didn't see them on the graft.
We got the Double D rigged up here. It comes with 4 settings. It's got a 1, 2, 3, and a 4, and each setting pulls it a different direction from the boat. The outside settings are a more aggressive pull. It brings it out further away from the boat. The inside ones are a less aggressive pull, but these are designed to be fished on one side or the other, so that's what we're double checking right here.
These are 10-pound cast iron weights. You want 1 pound of weight per depth that you're going to fish with. These are good down to about 100 feet. They make these up into 15 pounds or as light as 2 pounds. But it's 1 pound for every 10 foot of depth. Again, I got my extended releases on there, and we'll show you how those work to relay a little action to the tip.
So what we're going to be running here today is a Double D Dodger, silver with the silver flake. We're going to be pulling a hoochie with a smile blade on it. We're going to be pulling about 18 to 20 inches of leader behind these Dodgers. That leader length is determined by the type of action I want the Dodger to relay to my hoochie. When we're rigging this up here, just going to, these fish can be sensitive to smells, so we're just going to run a little bit of scent on here. That right there. And then we're also running just a little bit of chartreuse on the back of our hooks. This is more just for a color than anything. And the chartreuses and the orange have kind of been our keys for color. And we're just going to run that back here on the hook.
It's an artificial maggot. It's put out by Berkeley. It's a power bait formula. It replaces the corn. On this lake we can't use corn, so what we're doing is we're using a corn-like substance that appears like shoe peg corn. And it just adds a little bit of color to the hooks and a little bit with the scent trail on there, the fish think it's alive. Here's another little tip. We found out on these early season fish that they're side swiping the lure. If you're using number 4 hooks, you don't have as big a gap. The way to tell is when you start reeling in your fish and they're hooked on the outside, then they're swatting the lure. And when they swat that lure, you need a big hook on there. It'll sink deeper and you'll catch more fish. If you go the other way and use a treble hook because you're losing fish, or use a smaller rig, not noticing where the fish are biting it, you're going to lose a lot of fish. This way we'll sink deeper in, we'll hook more fish and get them to the boat. Later on in the season, you'll want to use a smaller hook, and the fish will come up and actually bite the hook, and they'll have the hook fully inside their mouth. At this time of year, it's really critical. They're on an instinct bite, cold water bite. They're going to swat at the lure. Salmon do this. They're notorious for doing this, and you can't understand why you're losing fish. Go to a big wide gap hook like this, and you'll put more fish in the boat. Fish on, just as advertised. He's just coming along. He'll go nuts here in a minute. If you can keep these fish down and keep that dodger in the water, you won't lose as many. Watch the downrigger wire, because if that line touches that steel downrigger wire, it will cut it off right now. There he comes, little guy. Nice little guy. Another thing when you're netting, swim the fish in front, and then just turn the fish loose, drop my tip, and it swims right into the net. Normally on these small fish, you have to be real careful, and most of the kokanee will do this. They'll flop around the net and they'll break your snell off. So you have to try and get the hooks out. And, let's see if we can release him. Just pitch him in and see if he'll swim. I think he will. Yep, gone. Most of the time I don't like to bring him in the boat, and if I'm in a bunch of small fish, I'll pinch the barbs closed so I can just let back and unhook the fish if I don't want it. Okay, we're using pink on this side, orange on the other side, and that's 2 of the top colors. Number 1 color is always pink for kokanee. Number 2 color is always orange. And number 3 is a green or chartreuse color. Now the color accents will make the difference. Some days it's pink, sometimes it's white on these color accents on your hook. If you'll break those baits apart and use the color to your advantage, those little tiny differences between a chartreuse or a pink maggot on there, I can use a pink maggot and only catch half the fish. But we know they're on chartreuse because we pre-fished it and experimented around. We found out chartreuse is the best color, so I use chartreuse on all the lures, whether it's orange or pink. That adds contrast. That last little icing on the cake will mean the difference whether you go and tell stories at the dock or take something home for dinner.
Welcome back to Flaming Gorge Reservoir. I'm Justin Wolff. We got rained out in the morning, but the afternoon bite is going on.
There's another one on pink. This is about 4 bites we've had on pink, so we're gonna switch both rods to the pink lure and see what happens next. Of course, we all know the answer to that, more fish. What I'm doing is I'm trying to ski that fish in, keep that dodger down in the water, because if he jumps and flips that dodger out, it torques that hook and he'll get loose. If you can ski it right on the top just like it's swimming now, that's the way to do it. You see I stopped reeling, eased down a little bit, and the fish started to swim again. If I keep that fish swimming instead of turning, I've got a lot better chance of getting him in the boat. Go ahead, dip him.
It's a little bit smaller fish there than what we're looking for. This is probably the 2nd year class here. We're hoping to get into some of the 3 and 4 year classes, which are going to be about twice that size. We know they're here. We just got to keep working the pattern. Eventually it's going to pay off. We're going to get into the bigger fish, the 3 and 4 pound range that we're really looking for out here today. We're going to switch up here. We're seeing a lot more action on the pink. We're going to go with the Max Lure Splatterback in that pink with that hot pink smiley blade right there and the number 2 hooks. I'm running about a 20-inch leader here. Just getting done tying that off. We're just going to shorten up this tail string right here, just clean everything up. making sure we're tight. We're gonna get back in the water here. And looks like pink's on today though.
Somebody say rainbow. No, that's a kokanee.
Yes, sir. There they are. Like I said, that's that second year class again. Not quite what we're looking for. It makes a heck of a fillet.
Yep, smile blades, make you smile. You'll note on my riggers I use a standard stainless steel wire rather than Dacron. Wire hum has no effect on the fish. I'll guarantee you we've tested A to Z on downriggers. Wire hum has no effect on the fish. What it does have is it has conductivity, which I'm using an electrolysis unit, a black box today. We're running that at 0.670 volts of electricity. That attracts the fish or condenses the fish to the same level as my downrigger ball. It produces more fish. I guarantee you I wouldn't use it, or I wouldn't be interested if it didn't put more fish in my boat. That works. I did all of the original study on it. I helped them with it. I've watched those fish. It won't make the fish active. It won't make them bite, but it'll bring them in front of your lure. And the more fish you can put in front of that lure, the more you're going to catch. But I use a regular stainless steel wire, and I use it for that reason with the electrolysis unit. Another thing, another big tip, speed. And I run my GPS to check my speed. And I check that several times because it's influenced by wind, by current direction, by time of day, water, cold water. There's so many different variables on it, but it can be as little as 1/10 of a mile of an hour difference. What that equates to with the Dodgers we're using today is we need to be right about 1.5, right in that range of miles per hour. At 1.5 is ideal for the rigs we're using. Most Dodger rigs operate at about 1.5. Some of the other blades that are popular out there, like the sling blade, they're designed for speed trolling. They're designed to be 2 miles an hour or faster. The speed you have will determine the action that goes on your lure. If you want the proper action, use the proper speed. You'll put more fish in the boat. That's what it's all about, is catching fish. Here we go. What we're doing is it'll collect monofilament, it'll collect the algae or the plankton right on the line. And what we'll do is we'll reach back and softly pull it up and then pop it. And that'll pop all the algae or plankton off the line. It also sometimes will draw the fish in. And you can sit there and just play that like a banjo. And sometimes that little bit of change, it jerks the lure a little bit in the water on the release. And sometimes that's all it takes to trigger a strike. These fish again are operating as you come up or down with the downrigger. You can make any sudden change or a turn in the boat. A variance of speed by turning the boat causes the lure to either slow down or to speed up, and that will cause the fish to bite. As well as the twang on the line, or sometimes I'll stop the boat dead and just let the lure sink to the bottom or sink down through the school of fish, and then start the boat up and bring the lure back up through the school of fish, and that'll work. And that really, some days those little tricks will put more fish in your live well.
Mike Hall and Luke Ellifritz are on a decent afternoon bite on Flaming Gorge Reservoir, with limits in sight. But there's a storm brewing, and it's heading our way, so we're going to do the smart thing and head for the barn. But early the next morning, we're now a good distance up lake, hoping to find bigger kokanee.
Well, this morning we're at Buckboard Marina in Flaming Gorge Reservoir. A little bigger fish up this end of the lake early in the year. We're going to see what happens next. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get some that are up in that 4-pound range, the kind that the lake's really famous for.
This morning we're going to start off with the pink squid and the hot pink smile blade behind the Double D Dodger. We're running about a 20-inch leader on them just to give the squid a little bit of a slower pulsing action in the water. Right now, earlier in the season, it just appears that pink's the hot color. Later in the day, we're going to switch up and we'll be going to the sonic bait fish. in a silver and a white chartreuse pattern in the hopes of picking up some nice rainbows and possibly some lake trout.
Got a little bit of a light wind, a little bit of riffle, and it's slapping the hull. And you need to go with the wind or adjust your boat so that the hull's not slapping against the waves. The downriggers and the motor don't scare the fish as much as that boat coming along and pounding on top of the water. It makes those fish move, particularly in these early season fish where they're up shallow. So position your boat where you're not getting that wave slap, and you'll do a little better that way too. I like a medium action rod with a fast taper on it. These are kind of a little heavier for the kokanee, but when we get into a mac or when we get into a big rainbow, then I need the meat to be able to reel that fish in. These have a real fast taper, real soft tip, so you can see that tip if there's action on it from the dodger or from a fish striking the lure. We're seeing a few macs on the graph this morning, and it's always a possibility that you'll catch a real nice one. I've got up to 40-pound fish doing this same thing on kokanee lures in this lake, so a lot of guys like a softer tip on it or a longer rod, and that's great if you're catching small kokanee. These bigger fish require a little heavier duty equipment. No, don't chase him. All right, let's scoop it.
That's a better fish.
That's a flaming gorge one there.
Yeah, that's a better fish. Yep, that's what we're after.
That's a new UV pink. That's one of the newest ones they've put out from Max Lures on the hoochie. I appreciate it very much.
That's why you come to this lake, for a boat of these. Right there, fish on. Fish on, fish on.
Whoa, another big one. Woohoo! Them small blades make you smile. Nice fish.
Yep.
Really nice one.
Yep, another good fish.
That's why I love fishing right there. Scooping. Hot dog, flaming gorge.
Yep, that's another 2.5, 3-pound fish. Early in the season like this, these fish are growing so fast, their mouths are slow. We're running that double hook, that snail setup right there, and that's been the difference between being able to get these larger fish in the boat and not. The single hook setups, we're catching fish, but we're having trouble getting these bigger fish in the boat. You can see both of them hooks are fully in that fish's mouth.
These fish are really starting a growth spurt right now in the spring. And when they grow that fast, the bone doesn't harden. It's got a lot of cartilage on it. So when your hook goes into the fish, generally that's said to be a soft mouth fish. Well, in truth, what it is the bone hasn't hardened, and it's harder to hook that fish because the hooks will rip out. The skin's soft as well as the cartilage, and there's very little bone to hook up on it. If you go to a larger hook, you'll get a better hook penetration, a wide gap hook. It'll improve your success ratio quite a bit. You won't lose as many fish when they jump. The hooks won't pull out.
Welcome back to Flaming Gorge Reservoir. I'm Justin Wolff. Kokanee can be very picky about what they bite, but this morning they're biting a Max Lure pink hoochie with a smile blade behind a Double D Dodger. Mike Hall and Luke Ellifritz are targeting the size kokanee that Flaming Gorge is known for, in a 3 to 5 pound range. Now, hooking these fish is one thing, but actually getting them in the boat is another thing entirely.
We're having to stop the boat on this size fish because they're pulling cross lines, and it's a little easier to get them in if we can stop the boat and then turn into the fish that side. That's a toad. That's your toad right there, Luke.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Got him. Woohoo! Even better than the last one.
Excellent fish right there, folks. Excellent fish. 3.5, maybe 4 pounds. Like I said, you want big kokanee? This is the place to be, Flaming Gorge Reservoir. The limit on the kokanee in Flaming Gorge is 3 per day per person, the 6 fish limit. And you can see a couple like this, you don't need that many of them. They keep the limit down on the lake to try and sustain the quality of the fish in the lake. It's a very important resource to us up here. We're very proud of it, and we're glad that we can bring people from all over the country to come up here and go after these big kokanee. That's why we try to keep our limits conservative on the lake. And you can see the results right there.
Flaming Gorge, come get you some.
It's a nice limit of kokanee this morning.
Hey, thanks for watching today, and I hope you're going to catch more fish because of it. Now, the 2-hook hoochie setup with the smile blade is extremely effective. It works great behind the Max Lure Double D Dodger, especially when trolled at slower speeds. And if you get out there and put what you've learned into practice, then you will catch not only more fish, but bigger fish also. Now, if you'd like to learn how to tie these rigs yourself so you can take advantage of the different hook sizes and variety of smile blades available, then go to anglerwesttv.com, enter the store, and watch a video with Mike Hall explaining a simple way to tie the 2-hook rig, and another video with Luke Ellifritz where he demonstrates how to assemble the components of the hoochie rigs you saw used in today's episode. When tied and assembled correctly, these lures will give you a big advantage when chasing kokanee, trout, or any kind of salmon. Thanks for watching today's episode of Angler West TV. You know, it's only with the sponsor support that this show is made possible, so please thank them when you can. Now get out there and do some great fishing.